Good afternoon. Once again, I'm back here to talk to us. First of all, I'm Mazi Anyanwu. This is a continuation of what we've been discussing. I spoke to us about who we are and how powerful most things are affecting our lives, negatively and positively. I also talked to us about the things that the do's and don'ts, and don'ts that we ought to watch at. And I talked about the foods that we eat. We talked about real food. We talked about sex as a food. And today we will be digging deep into something that is very powerful. The human mind, our minds, our imaginations, how powerful and how strong they are, the strength of our mind, what we can do with the mind, and what the mind has achieved over the years by record. You see, first of all, before we start, I have to tell you something about the human mind. There is no battle that is fought on earth. It does not matter how it is being fought, that is not first fought in the mind. And once you win the battle in the mind, it's like you've already won physically. But you must first of all defeat every challenge. You must first of all defeat every obstacle. You must first of all defeat every opponent in the mind. In the mind. And that is why we need to talk about the mind today. And then what the mind has actually done to us, especially most of the stories, most of the things we were told, most of the things we are taught, most of the things we are meant to believe, like the faith that we have, all the stories that we've had. That is why it is difficult for you and I to really struggle with the fact that there is no heaven and there is no earth and there is no hell. Now we are struggling with that simple reality because our mind has been conditioned to believe that when you die, you go to somewhere. So the question that comes to our mind is, if there is no hell, if there is no heaven, then where does somebody go when he dies? You see, so we are going to really unfold a lot of things that will make you to really sit down and logically reason things through and then begin to see the reality for yourself for the first time. So I'm going to be dwelling on the mind, and that is what we are supposed to do today. But first of all, let me apologize for not being here last Izu. Today is Eke. We all know that this is celebrated because it's the first day of creation, the first day of the Izu. And I promised to be doing this series every Eke, but unfortunately, I was not able to do it this last Eke. But today I'm here, and I know that we're going to have a lot of things to catch up with. But let me start by first telling you that, like I said before, we are spirit beings, but we dwell in a body. And these spirit beings have certain properties. The mind is one of them. The mind is one of them, and in fact, it's a very powerful part of that spirit being. It's a spirit that has a mind, and that dwells in a physical body. So the body you have, the physical body that you have that contains you, the container does not define you. What defines you is the content inside the container. And part of that content, the mind is part of the content. And that is why we have to really work on the mind today. So if you don't mind, I would like you to walk with me. And then just, maybe I'll be saying things that you know. Just give me just these few, minutes to really, say it the way I know it. Then you can, relate it with what you know or compare it with what you have. And then you see if it was a time well spent, listening to what I'm going to say. Like I said before, I'm Mazi Anyanwu. And today we are talking about who we really are. And part of the discussion to help us to unfold or reveal who we are is to understand the way we think as a people, the way our imagination, the power of the mind, and the way we process our thoughts. So let me kick off. Now, let us start with religion. I happen to be fortunate as a child, and then I think I should be 9 or 8, I don't know really, but because I used to watch interesting programs. I mean, not for my age anyway, for adults, but somehow some people find it very very strange, that a child as old as I am is paying attention to certain things. I used to watch a program, I think then in NTA channel 6 ABBA. The program is called In a Lighter Mood. I think In a Lighter Mood, something like that, yeah. And one day there was this group, because they normally gather all the different religious groups, most of their leaders and their heads, and then they pick up a topic and they start discussing about this topic. So for the first time, because I used to have this reserved respect for quote unquote reverend fathers, because most of us were born, almost majority of us were born into Christian homes, and we are taught that Jesus is the only God and whatever, and then the Bible has to be a holy book, and then you have to hold it so dear. So I was comfortable, listening to these people. So when they introduced the people who were on the panel, and then they introduced this Reverend Father, I was like, we see them as people that know it all. So I was like, he's going to, have a good, the conversation has to be tough. So they now introduced some other people. And then there was this man they introduced, they called him Guru Edet. I think the man is from, Calabar also. So they called him Guru Edet. So when the conversation now kicked off, actually, I now saw that the man took the center stage. Guru Edet was all over the places. Because why was he all over the places? Guru Edet understood, had deeper knowledge of everything that they were discussing, including the Bible. It got to a point, even when they asked the Reverend Father, he would say, ask Guru Edet. So in this conversation, there was something Guru Edet said, so everybody was not paying attention. So whenever he was talking, we see ourselves paying more attention to listen to what he was saying. So I will never forget what he said. When he was talking about people that do abstract traveling, and then how it is that most people that meet the so-called Christians, quote unquote, during the so-called abstract journey, they normally tell them, look, when they want to wake them up, or when they want to move them from the place they are to another place, they will decline, and they will say, no, we are waiting for our Messiah. Now, it is so real to them that they are still waiting for the Messiah, even in their deepest sleep. Now, the reason is this. Like I said, the spirit has a mind. And now, whatever you condition the mind to accept is what the spirit will settle for. Now, many of you would sleep and you will dream and you will see a person, a white person, quote unquote, that appears to you and calls himself Jesus. You will see a white person that appears to you and tell you that he is your Lord and he is your God. He's telling you that because you yourself, in your mind, in your mindset, you've accepted the fact that your Savior is a white man. That your Lord and personal Savior is a white man. And the name is Jesus because you were taught so through religious setting, through your Bible classes. You were taught that Jesus is your Lord. So you have settled it in your mind, and it remains something that is strong in your mind. So you can never, it will be hard for somebody to really convince you that what you have accepted, because you've seen it several times in your dream, that what you have accepted is just fiction. But because you have made it so real, your spirit have decided to settle for it. It's just like when you tell a slave, it doesn't matter where the slave is. When you tell a slave that you are not a slave, you are only a slave because you are in this particular territory. You are a slave only in this territory. Now, the slave will never believe that because all his life he grew up accepting the fact that he's a slave. But forgetting that if he should relocate to another place, he cannot be a slave. He's only a slave in why? Why is he a slave in that territory? Because that was the condition which he find himself. And when he changes location, remember that his condition will automatically change. But because his mind have settled for the fact that he is a slave, so he can never see himself as any other thing other than a slave. Even when he changes location, he will still behave like a slave in the other location, limiting himself, telling himself what he can do and what he cannot do, because he is not used to doing everything. He was given limits where he was coming from. So now he's in a new place. He maintains that same standard. And that is why so many things were created to shaping your mind in the form and way that they want to reason. What are the things that were created to shaping your mind? First of all, the first thing they did was to create a structure, an educational structure that will help them groom you in that way and manner they want you to behave. The second thing they did was to create a religious structure that will help them to manage your mind, to give you the kind of mindset that will not allow you to derail or to step out of that educational structure. You see, all these things are working together. Now, to crown it all, to make you, to force you into it, there is also a political structure. In this political structure, they divided it into two. The control unit and also the enticing unit. What do I mean? The things that you yourself will devote your time and energy for. For example, money, finances. So they had to create a situation whereby you must work and you must pursue jobs that will not allow you to have proper processing of your mind, to think well. So things that will always put you on your feet, so that you will not have time to look at relevant things that are very important in life. So you end up accepting things that are not important as things that are very important, because those things that are not important are the things that will make you to survive. So the ones that are supposed to make you succeed in your purpose here on earth are the ones that were taken away from you. So they gave you things that will make you believe that you are doing well. Maybe probably give you some paper money, allow you to build companies, or allow you to build houses, or allow you to things that will make you feel that you are doing well, because you are not comparing yourself with other people around you. But you've never asked yourself the major question: why am I here on earth? What is my purpose here? Your purpose has to be greater than that which you desire as a person. But we run after our desires, because what we all desire is to have an easy life, not even a good life. Because having money and having all these things is not a good life, because many people have it and yet they don't have peace. Our desire is to have an easy life. You want this, you buy it. You have the money to buy it. You want that, you buy it. And then when we get to that level, to us, we are successful. But you forgot that you are being controlled by a system created by certain people to put you on check. So you can never be more than that which you are already, which they have made you to be. Because they allowed you that space. The day they want to finish you, they will also walk in and take away that which means a lot to you. And in fact, they will ruin your life for life. So, but you can never be touched if you really fulfill your purpose. No matter what they do, they will not erase your name in a hurry. So they have to work on your mind. They worked on your mind from 4 different structures. They worked on your mind from 4 different structures. And like I said, these structures were created to really work on your mind. They are not interested in your physical development. Their major interest is in your mindset, because they know that no matter how big the elephant is, if you can control the mind of the elephant, you'll be able to control the physical body. It's very simple. That is why the lion is not the strongest animal in the jungle. The lion is not the fastest animal in the jungle. The lion is not the biggest animal in the jungle. In fact, the lion is not the lion is not the most intelligent animal in the jungle, but the lion is clever. And because the lion is clever, that is why the lion can attack an elephant. An elephant is big, but an elephant has a clean mind. An elephant has a clean mind. An elephant has an innocent mind. Except you come for an elephant will not come for you. The bull is big and strong, but the bull has a good mind. Except the bull feels threatened, the bull can never come for you. So these are the weak points of these big animals. And that is why the lion itself understands these weak areas. Then the lion, uses these areas against these big animals. Look at the giraffe. The giraffe has a kick that if the giraffe hits you with his back kick, you may even die. Even if the giraffe hits a lion with that back kick, the lion may die. But the lion has a way of bringing the giraffe down. As big as the giraffe, as tall as the giraffe. So you ask yourself, what is so special about this lion? It's because the lion is clever. The lion has an evil mind. The lion is clever and he has an evil mind. The lion is always plotting against these big animals. The lion is not afraid of any animal, your size, or because he knows that he's the one that has the evil mind. He's the one that is planning the evil, not you. Other animals, even the chimpanzee, is because the chimpanzee is also smart that they are able to overcome the lion. But the lion, even at that, plots even against the chimpanzee, even against the baboon. But because the lion is a very smart animal, very clever, and very evil-minded. The lion is always plotting to kill. Plotting to kill. Now, what am I saying? It's not about being the strongest people on earth. It's not about being the smartest people on earth. It is because you are dealing with a people that knows how to plot. The people that gave you the religion are very clever. They have an evil mind and they can plot. They did not overcome you because they were more intelligent than you. No, they overcame you because they are plotting. You have a good heart. You have no heart to run against any other species. You mean well for everyone, but these people are plotting against you. So that is why they thought of it and they gave you the things they gave you. And the things you are still holding them there. They gave you the education they gave you. Because they know that if they allow you on your own, that they cannot control you. On your own, in fact, they are not even a match to you. So the same way the lion plots when he sees bulls in their hoods, when he sees bulls, he tries to single them out one after the other. So that the lion you can never see one lion going after one buffalo. They go 3 or even more against a buffalo. The same applies to when they go after an elephant, when they go after a giraffe. It's not a game of one-on-one. So, but in this case now, we have a people that what they do is this, knowing fully well that you have you have a strong strength. When they come in, they will put crisis among you and your kind, and they will set you against yourselves. Then using the same energy that you have against you. So it is that energy that will allow them. So the fight they would have fought, you end up fighting the fight for them. When you see your like, you dislike your like. When you see your like, you despise your like. You hate your like. They've done it thousands of years and it has worked for them. And it's still working for them today. As long as our people remain in a religion built by others, they are going to still remain in a system controlled by others. As long as our people remain in an education system arranged and structured by others, they are still going to remain under the control of others. There is nothing you can do. As long as we are pursuing the financial system created by others, we are still going to remain enslaved to those people. It's as simple as that. Why should you wait for another man to tell you the value of what you call your own currency? Why is it that it is necessary for somebody? One day I was watching one of all these televisions, and they were talking about financial update, and they were reading about stock markets. And somebody was asking me, I mean, upon all the whole stock markets they read, they did not show African stock market. I said to the person, look, if you don't understand this system, you will worry over nothing. But when you do understand the system, you will know that Africa is not included. Africa is not included because what they are doing is a game. They know it. They are the ones that tell you, according to market, that stock have risen and it is falling. They are the ones that are pushing it up and down. It has nothing to do with location. It has nothing to do with what is being sold. They are the ones that is giving the same. It's all about propaganda. Yes, we know that markets, people buy shares, people buy stocks, but many things are overblown. They are blown out of proportion. They are overblown. That is why till date, certain countries has remained at the first 10 because it is being decided by a group of people. They are the ones that tell you who is doing well and who is not doing well. They mark the scripts. They mark the papers. But that is not where I'm going to. What I'm trying to say is that this world is being controlled by these people because they have created a system that allows them to do that. And the more you remain in this particular system, your mind can never tell you otherwise. It will also tell you to be submissive, to follow what everybody have accepted, what is obtainable, what is normal. And what is normal means you must surrender and submit to the system. So you can never fight a structure that you know that is simple, being in that same structure. So we need to understand who we are. Part of who we are is our mind. So if you really have to change, if you really have to bring a change, or if you really have to fulfill your purpose, your mind has to be developed. And you cannot develop your mind by what somebody has given to you. Now let me tell you something. We are all like seeds. Anything that will make you great, anything that will make you fulfill your purpose in life is already in you. You are not looking for it. It's already in you. So wherever you go and you say that somebody is impacting something into you, that is an error. It's an error. Nobody needs to put anything into you. What people need to do is to help you bring out what is already in you. The thing that makes a tree great is inside the tree. It's inside the seed. What the soil does and the watering does to the seed is to help the seed to bring out that which is in the seed and help it develop. We are created to bring out what is in us. There is something that you had. The creation gave it to you. It was in you before you came to earth. So anywhere you go, the best that can happen to you in life is for you to bring out that which is in you, not for somebody to impart nonsense into you. Any impartation from outside yourself is destructive to your destiny or to your purpose here on earth. You were not created by accident, so you cannot come here and on the earth and meet your destiny. Somebody will say, "Come, let me give you destiny." Somebody is trying to impart purpose into your life. You must be mad by believing that. So that means that nature that brought you out, the creation that created you, didn't know what it was doing. So your coming here was by accident, for you not to receive the impartation that will not help you discover your destiny. Did you lose it at the first place? It has always been in you. It has always been in you. That is, your destiny has never been far from you. Your purpose has always been in you. What you need is a system or a platform or a force that will help that which is already which is dwelling in the inside of you to develop. And this is where a lot of us miss it. And that is why the discussion we are having today about the mind is very important. Because your mind will help you to process a lot of things. So the question you ask yourself is this: all the religious stories that you've been given, all the religious lessons that you've been given, all the classes that you've had, how have they helped you? For example, if you're a Christian, you will agree with me that all your life, the only thing that the Bible have taught you is about Jesus Christ and those that were written in the Bible. The Bible never told you about you. The only time they try to tell you something that looks like you is to tell you that they want you to look like the image of his dear son. What about your own image? I don't even want to go to the area whether the Bible is real or fake, or whether Christianity whether Christ, Jesus existed or not. I don't want to go to that area. But the question I'm asking you is that what has it done to you than making you to depend on something else for your journey and success on this planet? When you are created and you've been embedded with everything that you need to really make it to where you are supposed to go. We all have destinations. We all have destiny. None of us is here without a destination. None of us is here by accident. We all have destiny. But religion cannot help you to get to that place, because religion makes you a dependent. And as long as you remain in that religion, you will keep depending on whatever source or platform that they choose to brainwash you into. So we must understand that it is not healthy for your mind. It does not allow your mind for you to use the full potential of your mindset, to reprogram yourself in a way that you will come in terms with your journey here on earth. Religion does not allow you that. It does not allow you that. That is why when, for example, if you look at the Christian setting, when you come, you see certain quotations. You say it takes that the kingdom, the so-called kingdom of God, is for those who are like little children, that you must have the mind of a baby for you to be. Why? Because children, they don't think. They don't process thought. Whatever you tell them, they believe. Their mind is clouded. They don't confront doubts. So even if they do, any answer is acceptable. As long as you are able to convince them to accept the answer. They don't question deep. The another one tells you that you must be born again. Now that means you still have to live adulthood and be born again as a baby. Because it's not meant for, religion is not for grown-ups. Because grown-ups, the thing that grown-ups does that is not good in religion is that grown-up ask questions. Grown-up, they research, they do investigation. So you cannot say you are a man or a woman or a grown-up person and you are told to eat rubbish and you are eating the rubbish and you didn't ask why and you didn't want to investigate to see if that rubbish is actually going to do what they say it will do. So religion put you in that kind of reasoning that everything is acceptable as long as you are hearing it from those that you hold high, then you will settle for it. That is what religion does to our mind. It packs the mind. It retires the mind. Then where you will not allow certain materials or certain institutions or persons to think for you. So they will think and tell you what to do based on whatever that is written. Are you following me? Now, if you come to, especially among our African women today, you will see that majority of our women are forced to give birth to their children through operation, cesarean operation. Then ask yourself, why is it not so? Why, was it not so 10, 20 years ago? You understand? Why was it not so 10, 20 years ago? Now, I'll tell you why it wasn't so. Because the minds of our women has not been polluted. It has not been contaminated. Because then they believe that your woman will push and push. Every woman that is pregnant is looking and asking questions about how to push and give birth. Now, today, the discussion is who performs the best operation. Which hospital will I go and I will not die? You see? So the women now have already settled to their mind that the only way you can give you can give birth successfully is by them cutting your stomach. So many of them have settled for that, and it will take you time. And if you force her to go and push, she may stay the whole day and the child won't come out. Because that thing has been sold to them. That is why you see them 8 out of every 10 is giving birth through that. But then go to the deep African villages, and then you discover that there are still women who are pushing and their child is coming out fine. Now I keep asking, the question I normally ask women is this: if they are saying that it is too dangerous for you to push, what about the mad woman? I've never seen that a mad woman is giving birth and she died in birth in that process. I've never had that. You know why? Because you cannot pollute her mind. She still, even though you see her as a mad woman, she still understands the law of nature, that any child that is in the stomach has to come out. So it can never take the life of the mother, because what kills the woman is fear. But the white woman will give birth and the child will stay. So this is something our women have never looked at, because the mind has been worked on. And that is why I say that any battle you can't win in the mind, you can never win the battle in life. First of all, you have to win the battle in the mind. And our women have lost that battle in the mind because it was not so. Many of us were giving birth in strange places. I remember what my mother told me. She was in the kitchen when it started. You understand? And even when I was giving birth, there was nothing like people going to hospital. There is this woman that lives just, a few blocks away from our place, that She's the one that performs it in that whole village. You understand? And everybody calls her, and we've never recorded any case that any woman is giving birth and the woman died in that childbirth. But go to the hospitals and see how many women that die. Even with the medical doctors, that the so-called medical doctors that they have, and midwives, still yet we record a huge number of deaths that women died, who died during that labor. So why? It's because the mind has been worked on. So the mind has been conditioned in a way that they believe, the faith in what they themselves can do, the natural process of releasing that is dead. So they don't see the possibility of them doing anything without having that accident. Because the accident itself, the death itself was already created in the mind. And they lost it and they embraced it. That is why some of them will enter in and they won't come out again. So you see what the mind is doing. You see what the mind is doing. So at times we look at these things and we think they are nothing. But the truth of the matter is that if you sit back and you see that what has come to meet us, what came to us through the West, has done nothing but bring destruction to us. Everything they gave us, is it the medical system? It is destruction. It is destruction. I know the pain that we go through trying to educate mothers on not taking their children to hospital for the so-called injections that they are giving. But today, now many people, so many companies are being exposed, especially the companies that are being run by Bill Gates, and so many of them, they are being exposed. Because now there are evidences that what they are trying to do, especially among the African communities, both those who are in Africa and those who are in diaspora, what they are trying to do is to destroy the chances of our female children being productive. They've demonstrated it in so many ways. There are so many lies. That is why many of these companies cannot go to places like India. Those people, Asians are awake, and the government is working in support with them. But we have a system where we have a government that is not just only weak, but they are wicked. And they have been designed to destroy the very people they are supposed to govern. No, you can never, it's real, you find an African government today that is working in favor of Africans. You cannot. And that is why the political system is another system constructed by the same people that have come to enslave us. And it's through this political system they inculcate fear into us. Because one of the major things that you use to control a people is fear. Fear. That is the same fear that you put, you will give two men, just 2 men gone, and they will control over 200 men in a field. And then you ask yourself, you keep asking yourself, maybe in this gun there is only six bullets in each. So how many people would they kill? They can only kill 12. But nobody, 12, no, you won't see 12 people who are willing to sacrifice their life for the other 188 people to be saved. So everybody's afraid to die. And because everybody's afraid to die, with 12 bullets alone, 200 people will become loyal to 2 people. And this is what we are facing. And this is the situation we find ourselves in Africa. Why? Because the mind has been conditioned to feel danger. And because we want to survive, we don't want to die. We are all compelled to give in, even when we are being oppressed and suppressed. Just like today now, if you look, especially in places like Nigeria, you will see that a people that are not up to 3 million people are holding over 170 million people to ransom. It's unacceptable. Because the mind has been conditioned. Nobody, everybody is, why should you be afraid of a people that are only 3 million? How many people would they kill? They are controlling you because they have inculcated fear in you. So you need to move out of that place. That is why the mind, you need to move out of that platform of fear. That is, at times there are some things you see, you look into them, and then you understand that it is what you tell the mind. That's what the mind records. Because the media, whether it is social media or conventional media, the media has not been helpful. Because it is through media that most of these messages of terror, most of these messages of fear are being passed. And because most of us have given into media and we believe everything that comes from the media, because the media will always blow stories out of proportion. Why? To get attention, to also to get more people interested or engaged in that particular story. So many lies come into that story to make it interesting. And then you see everybody talking about it. And at the end of the day, what will it generate? It will generate fear. Fear. So people who are supposed to stand up against evil will not succumb for the fact that either some of them will be weak, frightened, or some will not have the necessary support that they need to really challenge that evil. It's all about what they are doing through mind control. What about education? I remember when I was in school, apart from being awakening, when I was in school, we were taught so many things that when I look at it today, I start questioning the reasoning capacity of those that really drew the program. We were made to understand that a man called Mungo Park discovered a river that was in my place in Nigeria. And knowing what I know today, I don't know whether it is the educational board or commission that was really ignorant or stupid, or is it the government that allows such thing to be in such books to be in our curriculum? I don't know. I'm still, I don't know who to really blame for such a stupid mistake, because we know, and all the right thinking persons who live in that neighborhood know that before Mongapa came, millions of our forefathers, our ancestors, have lived in that same river. In fact, what they did was they changed the name of the river into whatever name they like and removed the original name. And we know it is whatever he did in that place has absolutely nothing to, it has little or nothing to do with discovery of the place. Fine. Maybe the river discovered him. Maybe it was in the river that he was discovered. But that river has been there right from creation. That river has been there right from the time the earth was created. So how could he have discovered it? You see how stupid our people are? How can you discover something that has been from the beginning? Even before even your kind came to earth. How foolish can we be to accept that or to say that to our children? So many things, so many things they talked about who discovered this. How can a man travel all the way from Europe to America to discover America? When before you came to America, there have been over millions of people who are eating, died. People have died in that land. People are still alive. Babies were born. Even when you came, some people received you, and then you all of a sudden you are the one that discovered America. You see what I'm saying? But many of us are ready to die arguing that, because our mind has been conditioned to believe that. Many of the lies that our minds has been conditioned to believe are lies that you are willing to give up our life arguing blindly. In our ignorance, we are ready to die, proving that that is the truth. But the fact still remains that it is because our mind has been conditioned. And this is one thing education does to people. Many of us who are Africans don't know that even before the white man set their feet in African land, that our people were doing major operations, surgical operations, brain operations, heart operations, before, while the Europeans were finding a way to battle with it. We were already on it successfully. Nothing was happening. There was no electricity. There was nothing. People were doing it perfectly, because the mindset of those who were into traditional medicine then was powerful. Not now, because the ones we have now are polluted. They don't even know. They are confused. They are confused. They don't know the capacity of the traditional medicine which they practice. Many of them don't know. I know that there's a few of them that still retain that knowledge and that understanding, but many don't know. So you see them confused between what they have and what the West has brought. Our medical practice was not second to none. It was original and it was perfect. We had people who could do impossible things in the medical field. And that is why even if you go to so-called Western world, you see that most of the surgeons who are performing miracles, go and trace them. You will see their African heritage. It's not by accident. It's not because they studied harder than others. It is something that is in their DNA. It's something that is in their blood, in their system. But with time, we have thought that the best is medical treatment, Western medical treatment. So you see our people, those who are in Africa, when they are sick, they fly themselves to several places in abroad to go and get treatment. Some of them will even die there. And still yet, many are still coming. When what they are looking for, what they are spending all their time and resources searching for outside, can as well be done better, just at the back of their house. But because we have been taught that what we have is inferior, that what we have is nothing, that what we have cannot help us. That is what we are taught. So we believe it, and it has become a thing that has registered itself in our mind. And then our mind is conditioned to accept that. That is why when you hear a medical doctor, if you fly a common house officer to Africa, you will see that the so-called management, health management board, will place that house officer above doctors that have had many years experience, that are 100 times better than that particular house officer, just because the house officer is coming from the West. While most of our brilliant students, when they come out from Africa to all these places, you see them taking key places, key positions, because of what they have to offer. How long shall we feel inferior or reject our own? It is because of the conditioning. They have conditioned our mind to believe that they are giving us the best. That was why when they came, we threw away our educational structure and embraced their own. And let me tell you something. There is no continent that has ever made it. Go and check. There is no country or continent that has ever made it with other people's educational structure without involving their own structure. What these people gave us was what killed our own. Until we go back to what we used to do before they came, because we were doing perfectly better. We were doing well. We were doing too fine before these people came. until we go back and fall back to that educational system that we had before they came. We will still be struggling with what we are struggling today. That is why it is important, because for us to know who we are, to understand how we process thoughts in our mind is very important. It's very important. It's very important. So we lost everything that will help us develop that mind. The biggest fight that we have today is the fight between our mind and ourselves. Because we have packed our mind. We have packed our mind. So the only way we can think now is when we read a book, we will now quote what is inside that book. We will now use the thought of that particular actor or author or that particular article. We will now use the thought, the message that's inside that place to define what we ourselves should have looked at logically as people. Use common sense to process. Then before you start, buying ideas or thoughts, because your view on that particular subject may not be my view, because we are from different directions. So what you perceive from the angle you are looking at may not be what I will perceive. Why should I, first of all, front your own opinion before my own? There is something that should come out of my mind, and then I will not use yours to really weigh what I'm bringing out before I table it. No, many people cannot say anything without referring to a particular book written by a Westerner or sponsored by the Western world. When you understand that once you cross the ocean, the life or civilization as you have it there is different from the civilization as we have it over here. Why do you want to imitate? Why do you want to live a life that is not even acceptable there than here? You want to live it here. You want to live a Western lifestyle, a life that they look over there because you see it on TV. The problem we have is that most of the things we copy is what we see in the media. Many people that want to imitate that life have never traveled out once. So they have never had the opportunity to see the real people that they are trying to imitate. The ones they see are the ones they bring to them on the screen, or they read pictures they watch in magazines, or the stories they hear from others, but they've never had an experience. That is why when some of them come to the West, they get disappointed, because what you expect to see because of the images or the pictures you've seen, or the kind of thing you've imagined in your mind will be different from what the rating that you are going to see. So many people get disappointed because we have painted this kind of perfect society in our mind, but the West is far from being a perfect society. It's far from being a perfect society. Many people who are in the West can bear me witness. You will always hear that this man has killed his wife. There's a lot of evil things happen the way it happened in every other place. So it's not like this, they have a perfect life. Most of the things they brought to you is not even working for them. There are some things that happen here that don't even happen in other places. Like children walking into classroom and shooting other children. You don't just see it in any other place. You only see it in the West. And they will tell that it's a psychological problem. Yes, fine, that we understand. But these things are not common with us. So you understand that your way of reasoning is different from their own way of reasoning because of the civilization that we all belong. There are some things that cannot break you, but those things will break them easily because they attach importance to those things. You don't. You don't attach any importance to those things. And whatever you do not lay your whole weight on does not move you. Even when it is removed, you don't feel it because your hope is not there. But there is a lot of things because the Western world is a world of material. So you have to live in that, to live in that material world. You have to also be a man that embraces material things. So how can you, a spiritual being, entangle yourself with a word that is embedded in the material nature of life? You see that your thought is being affected. And until you change the way you see things, you will find it difficult to overcome certain challenges. So that is why education is another thing that we need to fight. The education system is not helping us. Now, then we come to the other one, which is finances. Finances. The first thing, when I talk about money, the first thing that comes to your mind if you're a Christian is a quotation that says, money answereth all things. That thing, that quotation was put there. It was consciously, purposefully put there. It was not by mistake. That quotation was put there purposefully, consciously, that money answereth all things. The reason why they put it there is to make you think money always. And that is why there is no evil today that you are going to look at in the world today that is not one way or the other connected, linked with money. There is no evil that is not inspired by money. And when they say money answers all things, they try as much as they can to create a system that will make that possible. That is why they told you that it will come a time when you can no longer buy nor sell. So what they introduce to you is buying and selling, but buying and selling that is being controlled by money. Now, let me shock you. The Igbo tradition or life understanding or cosmology is built on that the earth and life itself is a marketplace where you buy and sell. But guess what? They didn't tell you about money. They did not tell you about money. What they told you is you can buy with what you have. You can buy with your talent. You can bring what you have and exchange it for what I have. So do for me and I do for you. That is why in the Igbo society, before the coming of the white man, if you have a very large farm, all you need to do is to tell your kinsmen, I want to farm in this land this year. And everybody will come and help you cultivate the land. You don't have to pay any cover. People will come and help you. Then the day of their own cultivation, you go and also help them. It's a community service. People do voluntary work. It's not about money. It's a society that people lived like family. People exist side by side without having to mention money. That was why when they came, they said something. They said they toured around the whole land and they did not see a single destitute, a single beggar. They did not see any man that was frustrated, because if you cannot afford to build a house, your community will build one for you. You don't have to have money to own a house. There was a system that they applied that made everybody automatically, there is an age you get to, before you know it, you become what is called a billionaire. So people were living good. It's not about money. But when they came, they brought a system that told you that you cannot buy or sell except to have money. So money now became the god of everyone in this Western system. Money became the god. So what people worship practically is money. If you don't have money, you are nobody. Nobody wants to know what is in your head. Nobody wants to know your ideas, whether you are gifted or not. All they want to say, how much have you made with what you know? Nobody can do anything for you now without asking you for a reward. So money is now the terms for defining who is successful or not. Money is the terms for defining who loves you or not. money is the terms for defining how to save a life or no. You see, money has taken over. Why? They introduced, that's why they say to you that money answered all things. They brought something and used it to replace what it should have been. And they were able to control the mind of the people. Everybody is thinking money. There is nothing you can do here on earth now without money. You can't even go from point A to point B without money. Gradually, Lyft is dying. Give me a ride. It exists now, but then before you know it, in the next 5, 10 years, it will no longer exist. Nobody's going to give you any ride. People can't do anything for you without expecting something in return, because it's a story that has been created, and that is how, because they develop the mind of the people towards that particular angle. Everybody is thinking that way. There must be something in it for me. If it is not, I will not participate. People don't do anything again because their conscience, pushes them to do it. They do it because of what they will get out of it. When you call somebody to serve, the first question is, how much am I going to be paid? It's not even after the work, whether he's going to do it well or not. He's after how much he'll be paid. You understand? I had this experience recently, and I was a friend of mine. I was supposed to do something for my friend, and each time we talk, I will hear things like, "Don't worry, I know you'll be paid now." And I keep saying to myself, I said, "But I have never told this person anything about money." And I said to myself, any day this person will raise this topic again, I'm going to ask this person, how much are you going to pay me, Seth? Because at times, I don't know whether it's because of the way people raise it. I'm not saying I'm doing it for free. No, it's not what I'm saying. What I'm trying to say is this. I feel that the most important thing is for me to find a way to do it, and then do it well. Then now, when I see that I can do it and it will be well done, then we will not talk about the monetary aspect of it. The most important part of the work is to get the work done, and done well. But with that aspect of life have died. That is why everybody is talking about money. Because if you pay me how much I think you should pay me, and at the end of the day I do your work and it's not well done, then how do you see me? I mean, at the first place, it was a total failure. So the first thing is for me to get my head down and get your work done. And once you are satisfied with the work, then comes my price. But you have to be satisfied with what has been done. That is how it should be done. That is how it should be done. So, but we are living in a world that everybody is concerned about what is the need for me? How much am I getting? How much are you paying me? How much are you charging me? We talk about money as if money, our whole life depends on money. But not knowing fully not knowing that we can live without this paper money. That the actual weight is not the paper money. And that is why Africa has accepted that there are poor nations because of paper money. And the Western world is the rich nations. People that have no single mineral resources. The real people that have the real resources are the poorest nations because of paper money. Because of paper money. Africans have settled for the fact that they were told and taught over and over and over again that they are poor nations, that they are indeed poor nations. And that is why the West can tell you that they are sending aids to Africa, that they are coming to to assist Africans, to help them and give them Medicare, to give them food. To just look at how stupid it is. And a whole lot of Africans have bought this idea that the West is coming to feed us, that the West is coming to help us, while actually it is Africa that is feeding the West. They all depend on the whole mineral resources in Africa to survive. Africa have the land of vegetation. There is no crop or thing that we cannot grow in Africa. But Africans are not thinking because we've been conditioned to pursue paper money, colored paper. Colored paper that have no value. You may be holding $1 in your hand. If the American government decides to change the dollar bill, that dollar you have in your hand is worthless. It's just like any other picture, photo that you have in your hand. So why should we value it more than the real gold? Why should we value it more than the real silver? If we are going to go after material things, if at all we want to value material things, why should we place gold? Why should we place that paper above gold or above silver or above any other natural resources that is precious? It makes no sense. Then come to think of it, life is not all about this. Like I said, it doesn't matter how much you have. It doesn't matter how much you make. If you like, there have been so many. If you look at how they, not us, count their so-called richest men on earth, you will see that for the past 10 years, there have been so many people on that, counting, or for the past 20 years. Now, some of them, you've forgotten their names because it's not about money. But there are people that have lived in this earth, even though many of them did not do good works, that have lived on this earth that you will not forget in a hurry. Fulfilling your purpose has nothing to do with how many cash that you have. It has nothing to do with how many paper money that you have. It has nothing to do with what they themselves rate you. It's about stamping your feet, pinning your leg down, and say, here I am. You write your name. You do what you are here to do. But you've been taught to live that. Go to school, graduate, work, and live a comfortable life. And that is why many of you are driving that car, living in that house, having that good job, only to realize by the time you are thrown out of work or you retire, that you've wasted your whole life not knowing why you are here on earth and what you are called to do. That you have wasted your whole life not fulfilling your purpose in life. Because you were taught that the only way to be successful is to go to school, come out, graduate, and look for a work, a lucrative work. And there's some of you who even go into politics to go and steal the fund of the people, to go and rob. So after it, what next? Does that make you to fulfill your purpose? Many of you have turned out to be religious leaders who are also feeding on the people you are pretending to be helping. Is that why you are here on earth? Is that your purpose on earth? You came to kill and not to build. You came to destroy lives and not to help save lives. You came to steal and not to give. Because if I remember correctly, we are all here to give. But we've been taught otherwise. We've been taught that we have to collect as much as we can from the weak. We are not taught to help the weak. We are not taught to help the less privileged. We are taught to rob from the less privileged. And that is why we've built this gap between the less and the most by corrupt system, by corrupt structure, the most privileged. So when we look at it, we will understand that there is a lot that we need to do if we can put our mindset right. There's a lot we can do if we can really channel our mind the way it's supposed to be channeled. And that is why I said the mind is where we feed our thoughts. It's where we feed our conclusions. It's where we feed our convictions. The mind is where we feed our acceptances. Things that we have settled for, things that we have accepted, things that we have decided to believe. It is in the mind. That is why the battle of the mind is the most powerful battle. Before you can hate a man or a woman, it is the mind that will make you. It is in your mind that such thing will come. Before you can choose to appreciate somebody, your mind has to settle for it. Before you will accept the fate, you must accept it in your mind. It is the mind that determines our final conclusion, the decision that we make at the end of the day. And that is why the battle of the mind is very important. So we have to be careful what we do with our mind. Our minds are powerful. Do you know that is why it is difficult for those so-called Western scientists to discover how the Egyptian pyramids were built? Because they don't want to accept the simple fact that the pyramids were built by the mind. It was the mind that was used in building the pyramids. Those stones were lifted with the mind. It's a telepathic process that you cannot beat. The mind can stop an aeroplane from flying, taking off. The mind can pull down a whole building. These are realities that people are yet to come to terms with. And this is something that our forefathers were good in doing. They had control over the mind. They can use the mind to do a lot of things. And I keep wondering, we as their children, we as their descendants, why is it that we have allowed somebody else to cage our mind with certain structures? Why we have allowed people, where we have given our mind, sold our mind to those people? Why is it that most of us have packed our minds and it is not working? A man will wake up, you will want to process a thought, they will tell you that it's not in your place, that the battle is not yours, that you should leave it to the Lord. And you relax and you leave it to the Lord. Only to find out that after 5 years, nothing has been done because the Lord does not exist. The Lord that is taking your battle does not exist. The battle is still there waiting for you. Because he that fights and runs, he lives to fight another day. You understand? So what you don't do today, it confronts you tomorrow. You see that until you engage yourself in that battle, the war will not go away. You must confront what is in front of you. You must face what is facing you. You must learn to take the bull by the horn. Anything that confronts you did not come to you by accident. Is because you are equal to the task. Do not shy away for any reason. You must take your stand and put your feet, dig your feet to the ground and then say, I will fight this fight. It is my fight. You must engage it. Engage in that fight and give your best. You'll be glad that you did. So your mind must function in a way and in a form. Before you came to earth, you've been given a mind that will help carry you through from the beginning to your destiny, to your destination. None of us are supposed to die young or die prematurely. None of us are supposed to be failures. Because when you were being created, you were not created to be a failure. You were created because creation itself knew and had this confidence in you that you are going to fulfill your purpose. Then why are you allowing certain things that made you halfway to decide for you where to end and how to end? And that is why I will encourage every man and woman to come home, return back to African spirituality, discover who you are, discover your true self, who you are, who you really are, what you are made of, and why you are made. There are components in you. There are resources in you. But there is a reason why those resources are being deposited in you before you were created. Because you were created for something greater than whatever you've been taught in school. You were created for something greater than whatever religion has told you. You are created for something greater than whatever the society is trying to make you believe. And you cannot be that having this particular mindset except you renew your mind. You have to renew your mind. Bring back the original mindset that you had from onset, that you had from creation. The original mindset, that is who you are. That is the seed that was deposited in you. The seed that will grow into what you are meant to grow into. Many of us are finding it difficult to understand that the path to success may not necessarily be the path to survival. At times, it's not the same. At times, it's not the same. That gets to a point where you have to choose just to survive or to succeed. That is why at times most people who leave this platform writing their name big time never did small things. At times there are people you hardly hear of, people you don't know, people you don't even expect them to really achieve that goal. Why? Because they've been busy while others are busy making small moves. They are busy targeting that big move. That you are struggling with life does not mean that you are a failure, as long as you know what you are here for and what you've created. In fact, those who are going for that greatness are the ones that normally struggle with life. Those you see that are, living comfortably, that have accepted that has fit into the society, doesn't usually turn out to be great. It is those that is no way they can fit in. If you put them here, they cannot. If you put them here, they cannot. Everywhere, the system itself rejects them because they are not for the system. They are meant to stand out. So there is nothing wrong with you if you are in that category. It's not because you are a cost or you are a failure. It's because you are created for something great. You are not meant to fit in. That they've rejected you means that there is something that you are a designer. You are called to set the pace for those ones who have rejected you to follow. You're not supposed to conform like them, submit like them. And that is why you cannot fit in. So what you need to do is to focus on developing and understanding your purpose. That is why you need to understand your mind. Your mind as a person, your own mind as a person. You need to understand your mind because your mind is important. If you understand your mind and how to work with your mind and how to walk in line with your mind, then there is nothing that will not be easy for you to do. There is nothing. So what we have discovered is this. For us to really discover who we are, we need to do away with the structure that these people has brought, whether it's the educational structure or their political structure, or the religious structure, or their economic structure, which they have. These things are part of the distraction. And it is not for you, it is not for me. Unless, of course, we are not willing and ready to find the true path to our destination. We are not meant to be caged. We are not meant to be controlled. We are not second-class people. We are not supposed to live the life of slavery. But we are living that life because we've allowed other people to define our lives for us. And that's why whatever they call you, you answer. You don't allow your fellow man to give you a name. That is why we answer names that they give to us. But if we are able to, if we are in control of our mind, it is you that will choose a name that people will call you. You are not obliged to answer any name that you don't like. You are not obliged to accept any condition that you don't like, to put your mind in a frame that is not meant for your mind. You are not in any obligation to do that. So, the mind is a place of authority. So what we allow in is like food. Like I said before, the knowledge of the spirit is, the food of the spirit is knowledge. Now, a knowledge is what you feed the mind. And it helps the mind to retain certain memories. And the earlier you understand certain things that are facts, I don't want to talk about the truth now, but I'm talking about facts, things that have been proven, the better. Because when you say truth, like they have polluted the truth, there can only be one truth, but they will tell that truths are relative. In the sense that somebody is telling you it is true that a book was written, and the people that wrote the book said it is the scriptures. But the fact still remains that the stories in that particular book are fairy tales. They are not facts, they are fictions. They are stories that people told to create a kind of atmosphere, and which has worked for them for a very long time. Do you understand? So now we are telling you that you need to understand that if you must read these books, read them with a clear understanding that these things actually did not happen, but they have resemblance to what things ought to look like, or would have looked like if this and this and this is done. That it is called the scriptures doesn't mean that whatever that is written there is true. And that people are saying that some of them are true does not mean that they actually happened. What they are trying to tell is that most of those principles are things that, well, when applied, you might get a certain level of result, but it did not happen. It did not happen because those things are based on formulas, codes that will generate certain results if well applied. So let us understand that. So like I said, until you change your mind, you may have certain problem getting to your destination. So I'm really grateful that we had this conversation today. And I'll try to be here again on next Eke. Today is Eke, like you people know. Eke is a wonderful day. Eke is the first day of the Igbo Izu. And we, the Igbos, believe that it is the day of creation. And that is, even from the name you will know, because Igbo language speaks for itself. the Igbos do not actually need dictionary to define or look for the meaning of their word. Every word is self-explanatory. So Eke, being what it is a wonderful day, and it's a day that we know that is fully dedicated to the sun. And as children of the sun, we believe that it's a powerful day for all of us. So once again, I thank you for being part of this wonderful program. And I hope we are going to meet this same time on a Day. And we will look deep into what we ought to do and how we have to walk in the spirit, what our spirit life is like, and how it will help us, to discover who we are. Because by the time we know who we are, we know that we are not supposed to be controlled by others or allow their lifestyle to influence us. We should be who we are created to be and fulfill our own purpose here on this earth. The earth is given to us, not to anyone. And if we allow them to control us, then they will control the earth. But for us to take control over this earth, we need to take back our rightful place. And one of the ways we can do that is by taking possession or control over our own minds and not allow our mind to be manipulated. Or for us to have focus, we need to also take control of our mind. So once again, I thank you. I'm still your brother, Mazi Anyanwu. Have a pleasant day. Thank you all for being part of this.